You must be willing to suffer. You must be willing to suffer. Serving the Lord with all humility. There are three things that accompany this servitude, this bond servant status, this position of being the Lord's slave. There are three things that come with this service. With all humility, with tears, with trials. Now, what does Paul mean when he says, I serve the Lord with all humility? We have such a misunderstanding of humility in our culture today. We perceive humility as being this: you posture yourself as not knowing anything. Right? In our culture, if a person strongly asserts they know something, that comes off to us as being proud. Well, that person, they're so proud. We have an idea of humility as being open-handed with ideas. That's not necessarily what humility is. Sometimes we have this perception that humility is self-effacing. Someone gives you a compliment. Oh, I really enjoyed your singing. I sat in front of you the other week in church and I heard you sing. You were singing a part during one of the hymns. That was a real blessing. You have a beautiful voice. And your response, because you're pursuing humility in our culturally trained way, your response is something like this. I really don't have that great of a voice. But thanks anyway. Because you've been shaped by culture to think that's humility, to be self-effacing. That's not humility. Humility is having an accurate understanding of who you are, seeing yourself as God sees you. That's humility. Humility is preferring others ahead of yourself. That's humility. Humility, as it's used in this context, is describing the conditions of life, the quality of life that came with being the Lord's slave. He wasn't staying at the Hampton. Can I get a witness? And he talks about this. This is why comparing Scripture with Scripture is so helpful. He talks about this in 1 Thessalonians 2. Let me read it for you. He tells the Thessalonians, and it's a speech that parallels this speech in Acts. He says to the Thessalonians, "Nor did we seek glory from people." When he was there in Thessalonica, he's saying that he lived before them in humility. He wasn't there to get glory for himself. We did not seek glory from people, whether from you or from others, though we could have made demands as apostles of Christ. It would have been good and right for Paul when he walked into town to say this: here's my badge, I'm an apostle of Jesus Christ. Therefore, your responsibility is to financially support me while I'm here in town. Which home are you giving up, and what food provisions will you provide me on a daily basis? It would have been good and right for him to do that. But Paul says this: we didn't make demands. Why? We were serving the Lord with humility. We were gentle among you, like a nursing mother taking care of her own children. So being affectionately desirous of you, we were ready to share with you not only the gospel, but our own selves, because you became very dear to us. For remember, brothers, our labor and toil. We worked night and day. And he's not talking about his work in the ministry. He's talking about his tent making. Remember, we worked night and day so that we might not be a financial burden to any of you, while we proclaim to you the gospel of God. Now, back in our text, Paul's going to say something similar. Glance down to verse 34. You yourselves know that these hands ministered to my necessities and to those who were with me. So as I'm being reminded by Paul that he served the Lord with all humility, I'm being reminded that eldering is hard work. That it's to be done without an air of superiority. That it's to be done in this manner where we put the needs of others before ourselves.